about 48 this morning. Nice and brisk. I like the cold weather. Feels good with all the gear on. What are we doing up here? Why are we sitting in the middle of the road? Man, I got a late start. Now I got to deal with all the crazies. Anyway, the cold start with the carburetors works so good. I mean, fuel on, choke out, start, let it idle at 2,000. 60 seconds later, punch it off and go. Well, you can go, you don't have to wait. It seems to ride just fine with the choke on too. Just you gotta remember to turn it off. That wouldn't help fuel economy, I don't think. Gonna have to reevaluate that ram ball positioning. That's a little too vibrating. Like a paint shaker. All of his brains are going to be scrambled. Anyway, I wanted to get the Enfield out, give it a good test ride to work. Since the final installation of the rest of the suspension bits, I was waiting on these fork tube extensions here, and I got those installed. Was able to drop the forks about 20 millimeters, and also I got the shorter rear suspension links, which also lifted the rear about 20 millimeters. The FYI, the shorter links are about a 1/4 inch shorter than the OEM links. For those who want to cut them in half and weld their own, that'll give you about 1 inch more ground clearance, or closer to 20 millimeters. Got some WUDs up. I'm blasting in my head here. Gotta turn it down. Might get crazy. Yeah, that's better. It's funny, the Royal Enfield thinks it's 62 when it's about 48. So it seems like the colder you get, the further off that that temperature sensor is. Also, I never reset my clock because I've got 3 other clocks that stare at me, but I need to do that someday from the last time I disconnected the battery. So by lifting the bike, we did get about 20 millimeters more ground clearance at the skid plate. And the seat height, we put a level across the seat with no one sitting on the bike. And it's right at 34 inches now. So I think, what is it, stock 31.9 or something like that. So the seat height's up almost 2 inches, right around that area. Which is kind of weird. If I only got 1 inch more ground clearance at the skid plate, why is my seat 2 inches taller? But we'll leave that up to the mathematicians. I like it. The bike felt too short and too little anyway. Now I'm sitting up higher with a much more like commanding view. Reminds me of my Africa Twin. You know, you can see over stuff, see what's going on. hopefully we don't have to deal with any fogging visors this morning. Scorpion helmet's been pretty good. I guess there's an anti-fog visor you can buy for this. XO was a $9.50, I think. If that becomes a problem, I'd have to look into that. I really like his helmet. It's super comfortable with all the different sizes of foam pieces you can buy for the inside. You can custom fit it to your head. I think I ended up with, of course, it's a large shell, which they only have 2 shell sizes, I believe. And I put XXL, no wait, XXXL cheek pads in it, and an XXL head pad. Gotta get that right. And she's a perfect fit. I have a big dome. It's a family trait. And it's not because it's full of brains, but well, it's November 1st. We'll start seeing Christmas decorations now that Halloween is over. Halloween was fun. Had a few trick-or-treaters. Too many of them were telling us that our house was too scary. It's funny because we watched the security cameras and people would walk up the driveway, and then, our little kids anyway, and turn around and walk away. Like, no, come back, take this candy, please. So I'm 5'11"-ish, and we were talking about the seat height earlier. I used to flat foot it, just sit here like I was on a little Bergman scooter or whatever. Now I'm on the balls of my feet, so if you're on the shorter side, lifting it might not be a great idea unless you're used to riding tall bikes. I'm not one of those that subscribe to having to flat foot anything. I started my riding career on dirt bikes, so. And then that was in the 70s, and the 80s came around and the bike started getting taller. We were all scratching our heads like, how are we supposed to ride this? The motocross guys were like, just get on and go. I'm like, okay, so we did. End of that story. No more complaining about tall bikes, just get on it and go. This carburetor swap, man, has been worth its weight in gold. I absolutely freaking love it. More power everywhere, and even we'll see if we have enough battery and disc space left when we get to the highway for a high-speed run. But previously, with the fuel injection, once you were going 70 and you gave it more throttle, it just made a loud bogging noise and slowly crept up to maybe 72 on level ground. Now there's actually power up there, all the way to Redline. Anyway, yeah, me and my son are going to try to hit the Royal Enfield demo days in San Diego. I think it's Royal Enfield of San Diego is where it's being held. I'll bring my GoPro, he'll bring his GoPro and his drone. I don't know if we can get any drone action in the middle of San Diego, but we could try. See if we can make a little video. Yay, 5th gear. funny if you guys ever notice, you know, I've heard, no, everyone's heard of target fixation, but so when you're riding in the twisties like this, you never want to look down at the ground. You want to look about the distance that car is right there in front of you, because you're going to naturally go wherever you're looking. And that's why when you're in a group ride and you keep this kind of distance, look, I'm on this inside edge because that car was on this inside edge, because I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just fixating on that car and going where he's going. And you'll do the same thing on group rides with bikes. So if a bike, you'll notice if a bike goes wide, you'll go wide, you know. So basically what you want to do is look maybe about 20 feet further than that car where you want to go. So I'm kind of concentrating right now on, well, not really concentrating, just looking at the middle of the road in front of that car. And, you know, kind of like magic, boom, here we are in the middle of the road in front of that car. And your body would just naturally follow that. Riding tip of the day. Of course, all the old salty dogs know that already, but if you're a noob like me, you might be able to put that to use. Still looking at the middle of the road in front of the car, and boom, I'm in the middle of the road without even thinking about it. The handling on the asphalt here with this suspension the way it is still completely neutral. It doesn't tend to want to turn in harder, or I'm not putting any extra force to turn in, just a little bit of a lean and away we go. I like it, feels good. So when you're riding off-road, I would imagine that same theory applies. You know, picking your lines on the trail, stare up ahead where you want to go, not right at the ground in front of you. Of course, that's if you're carrying any speed at all. If you're just putting along 5-10 miles an hour on a single track, you know, that may not apply. Some warm air now, warming up a little bit. Even old Royal Enfield thinks it's warmer. He's indicating 63 now. This corner right here, it's always moist. Kind of weird. Hasn't rained in weeks, but somehow that corner gets dewy every night. So engine wise, we've got the carburetor kit from Hitchcock's on here with the stock jetting. I believe the idle mixture's 2 screws out from all the way in. I'm sure the needle in the slide is in the middle position because I didn't change that. We have a Delkevic full exhaust with no cats and no O2 sensor, and I have a K&N filter in the stock airbox with no modifications to the airbox, and it just pulls. I mean, there's roll-on power and fit. It pulls, no bog, it just goes. Kind of cool. I don't know if you can hear it in the microphone or not, but the absence of the clattering noise at 4,000, that noise on my particular bike was the headlight bucket. I filled the headlight bucket with sound deadening foam to stick on heavy stuff, cut about 2-inch wide strips and just coated the entire inside. Boom, noise gone. Just have engine noises now. So now you're going to witness the brute power of the Himalayan. We'll accelerate up to whatever we can accelerate up to here. As Ian would say, punch it. There's 60. 70. Going uphill now, so 75 is going to be about it, I think. Yep, just like that, battery died. Anyway, wanted to finish up the video with a quick review of the suspension changes made to this 2022 Himalayan. I guess we could start at the rear. Let's check out the bike. Let me spin you around so I don't drop you. First thing we did, we added a Hagen shock, which you can see here. I'm trying to use a flashlight for better lighting. It's kind of dark in this garage. Speaking of dark, anyway, let's talk about that once we're done with the chat about the suspension. Also, the shorter suspension links here. Both these items are from Hitchcock's, the shock and the links. The links gave me about 20 millimeters or more ground clearance in the rear, lifted the rear up a little bit. In the front, we installed Racetech Gold cartridge, or not cartridges, but emulators with the medium springs, and which involves disassembling the forks and drilling the stock damper rods out with extra holes and enlarging the holes to 8 or 10 millimeters. I don't remember. And then we used 15 weight oil. And then we added fork tube extensions here from Cooper B or Cooper. I don't know how they pronounce their name of their company. Anyway, they're from the UK as well. And these basically replace the stock fork tube caps, which will be right about this level right now. They're about this long. They're solid. They screw in where the cap used to be, but they're the same diameter on the outside as the fork. And this allows you to drop the forks in the triple clamp. If you really wanted to get crazy there, up to maybe 2 inches, but I only dropped it 20 millimeters. The limiting factor being the brake line. I didn't want to put too much tension on the brake line. So that gave me a 20 millimeters in front to match the rear. And that works out pretty good. So I mentioned light earlier. I got to ride home in the dark because, winter's coming. And first real ride in pitch black. And one thing I noticed that I'm going to have to change is this tripper is almost like someone shining a flashlight right in your face. It's so bright. I don't use the thing anyway. So now more than ever, I just want to take it off and replace it with something that I can actually use. I could probably relocate this ram ball down here, and it would be a sturdier mount for my actual GPS. The tripper right now is nothing more than a clock for me because I just don't find it useful at all. It's the exact wrong kind of GPS you would want on an adventure bike. Once you leave the road or outside of any coverage of the app, it's useless. Or if you lose data connection, it's useless. And really, it doesn't do anything except tell you that you need to make a right turn or a left turn in X amount of feet or miles or whatever. I mean, I have real GPSs and I have my phone, which has a GPS. So I don't see the point in the tripper. It's probably going to come off. And if it doesn't come off, I'm going to have my wife make me a decal that goes over it that blocks out everything except just maybe the middle portion for the time to shine through. But yeah, that guy's, he's gone. I see no reason for it to even be on the bike. Ridiculous. But again, got to ride in the nighttime for the first real nighttime anyway, since upgrading the headlight, and the headlight works fantastic. It's a Jeep headlight from Amazon. I bought a pair of them, gave the other one to my brother. He has a 2022 Himalayan as well. The projection's nice, the color's nice, lights up the road really well. And when I kick on the driving lights, it gets that much better. So I'm pretty satisfied with the lighting for the night riding. And I guess that's going to be it. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, thumbs up. If you didn't, I'm sorry. And I'll see you guys in the next video.